You know, some of the most dangerous things in the world are tiny. I'm talking about a fly that's barely a few millimeters long, but its bite can literally cripple economies and reshape entire nations. This is Simulium damnosum, the black fly, and it's the sole carrier of a parasite that causes a devastating disease called river blindness. So today, we're going to unpack the story of this damnable fly.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the curse of river blindness itself. Then, we'll meet the fly responsible. After that, we'll dive into the parasite's crazy double life, explore the devastating human toll, and finally, we'll look at the global fight back.
Okay, first up, the curse of river blindness. Because really, to understand this tiny fly, you first have to grasp the sheer scale of the problem it creates. We're talking about a disease called onchocerciasis, but you probably know it by its more common name, river blindness.
And the scale here is just staggering. We're talking about 18 million people currently infected. But this isn't a global pandemic like we might think of one. No, this is a crisis that is overwhelmingly, almost entirely, concentrated in sub-Saharan Africa.
And you know, the impact goes way, way beyond just health. The threat of blindness, combined with the just relentless nuisance of these flies, it was so severe that whole communities just up and abandoned perfectly fertile riverside land. Can you imagine? That decision crippled agriculture and local economies for generations.
All right, so now it's time to properly meet the culprit, the vector responsible for all this suffering.
And you know, sometimes a name just tells you everything you need to know. Simulium, that's just Latin for small fly. But damnosum, that means harmful, hurtful, or my personal favorite, damnable. So yeah, its scientific name is quite literally the damnable small fly, a name it has most definitely earned.
So to really get what's going on here, we have to understand two different roles. The fly itself, Simulium damnosum, is what we call an ectoparasite. That just means it feeds on the outside of a host. But here's the crucial part. While it's feeding, it's also acting like an unwitting taxi for the real troublemaker, the worm, Onchocerca. And that worm is an endoparasite, meaning it lives and reproduces deep inside the human body. So here's a look at its official place in the animal kingdom. But this is where things get really, really interesting. See, Simulium damnosum isn't actually one single species. It's what scientists call a species complex. Think of it like a big family of over 55 genetically distinct but visually identical siblings. And each one is perfectly adapted to a different environment, from savannas to rainforests, which, as you can imagine, makes trying to control them an absolute nightmare. Okay, now we're getting to the absolute heart of the matter, the parasite's double life. This is the intricate two-host journey that traps the fly, the worm, and humans in this really devastating loop.
So, let's follow the parasite's journey, starting inside a human. It all begins with a bite from an infected fly. Tiny larval worms get injected into the skin. These larvae then mature into adult worms, and they curl up together inside these nodules under the skin, where they can live and reproduce for up to 15 years. And the adult females? They are just relentless, producing literally thousands and thousands of microscopic offspring called microfilaria that then migrate all throughout the skin and even into the eyes.
So how does the parasite get to its next victim? Well, the cycle completes when a new, uninfected fly comes along and bites that infected person. It sucks up some of those microfilaria along with the blood. Inside the fly, these little worms travel to the flight muscles, and over the next 1 to 3 weeks, they basically transform into the infective stage. Then they make their way to the fly's mouthparts, all ready to be transmitted to the next person. The fly is basically a living flying incubator, getting the parasite ready for its next mission.
Okay, so we've talked about millions of microscopic worms moving through the body, but what does that actually mean for the person? What's the real human toll, and where in the world is this crisis hitting the hardest?
And here is the absolute tragic irony of this disease. The real, devastating damage isn't actually caused by the living worms. It's caused by our own body's immune system going into overdrive, launching a massive inflammatory attack on the millions of microfilaria as they die in the skin and eyes. This response is what causes the unbearable chronic itching, the skin disfigurement, and ultimately, the inflammation and scarring of the cornea that leads to irreversible blindness.
And when you look at the global distribution, well, the numbers speak for themselves. A staggering 99% of all cases are in sub-Saharan Africa. Sure, there are tiny pockets in places like Yemen and South America,
But let's be clear, this is fundamentally an African public health challenge.
But, of course, we live in a super interconnected world, and diseases don't always stay put. Onchocerciasis isn't naturally found in Europe, but cases do pop up in places like the Netherlands, usually in migrants or travelers. And that presents a whole different kind of challenge for doctors there: how to spot and manage a disease they rarely, if ever, see.
Which brings us to the final and maybe most hopeful part of our story, the global fight back. This isn't a new fight. For decades, there has been this incredible, collaborative effort between scientists and public health officials, all aimed at one thing: breaking that cycle of transmission for good.
So, how do you fight back? Well, first, you have to find the infection. The methods are pretty varied. You have the classic approach, taking a tiny skin snip and looking for the microfilaria under a microscope. But now we also have these modern rapid diagnostic tests that can detect antibodies from a single drop of blood. And let me tell you, those are an absolute game changer for doing large-scale screening in remote communities.
And the strategy for treatment really depends on where you are in the world. In the heart of the crisis, in places across Africa, the strategy is all about prevention on a massive scale. We're talking about mass drug administration programs, where whole communities get a drug called ivermectin to kill off the microfilaria. That's paired with vector control, spraying larvicides in rivers to reduce the fly population. But then you look at a place like the Netherlands, and the approach is totally different. It's reactive, focused on providing individualized treatment for the small number of patients who are diagnosed there.
And this really highlights that the fight is far from over. It's a constantly moving target. Just this year, in 2024, researchers using genomics identified a brand new, genetically distinct form of the fly in Ethiopia. At the very same time, climate change is causing fly habitats to shift. We're seeing forest species pop up in savanna zones where they didn't used to be. All while the race is on to develop new, even more effective treatments like moxidectin.
And just so you know, all of the information we've talked about today was compiled using a Gemini deep search. If you want to dig in deeper, you can find a whole detailed list of our sources in the linked Notebook LM document. So, all of this leaves us with a really critical question, right? As our climate continues to change and these disease vectors, like the black fly, keep evolving, what's the next frontier? How do our strategies need to evolve so we can finally win these ancient battles against disease? The fight against Simulium damnosum. It's really an amazing story of science, human resilience, and global cooperation. If you found this deep dive valuable, do us a favor and subscribe to the channel for more explainers like this one. We'd love to hear your thoughts too. What other ancient diseases do you think we should tackle next? Drop your ideas in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching.